Hi. Wait, is there stuff in my teeth?
Welcome back to the miniature mic monologue.
There was not. I did floss earlier, and apparently to the desired effect. Praise God. First of all, I would like to note that I don't like this mic. I don't. And I don't know what I want to do to resolve it because I love this idea of the mini mic. It was so unfortunate that that mic stopped working. Now that I think about it, I had that microphone for 6 years and I really didn't start using it till almost 5 years in. Epic fail, right? Yeah, I know. But it's not that. It's just that you know, I don't know if I order another one, if it'll really work, or where else I can look to find something like this. If I need to pay somebody to make me one that's like quality and then I can just disguise it with all the stuff on the outside. Ooh, that's a good idea, but I don't know how to do that. Anyways, point being, I am trying to find a new one because I don't know. I don't like this one, but I really have to think about how I'm going to do that and do it well. But welcome back to the pod, you guys. Um, so I remember, was it February? Was it March? Was it January? I did seeing life as a learned skill. And my inspiration for today's episode was to do something similar to that. However, I'm not sure how related what I decided to talk about is to that. Excuse me. Sorry. People were making noise. I'm not sure how related what I want to talk about is to the idea of seeing life as a learned skill, except that I feel like potentially maybe I just unlocked a new skill, or I'm about to unlock some new things, or I kind of have been this whole time that I didn't really realize. And I'm trying to frame it like that in case I really want to use the title. If not, it'll be something else. But I think the hardest thing for me when earlier this year I was going through a lot of things that were not turning out positively or um, in my favor, that were negative experiences. I was trying to recreate a sense of knowing and familiarity that I had been accustomed to and relied upon my whole life because I have always known what I wanted. I've always known what I wanted to do with my life. I've always known what I wanted it to look like. I've always known what my next goal was, what I needed to do to start working towards that, generally when it needed to happen. And I think a big part of the reason why I've always wanted to know what I wanted to do with my life is that so many things that we get to experience in this life that are cool and awesome are predicated on age. So as a young person, you get to see, teenagers, sometimes even preteens doing stuff that you can't do as a 5, 6, 7, 8 year old. So it just deepens that desire to participate in all of those things that everybody else is doing. It's also like a belonging sort of thing. But besides that, I have just always known what I wanted to obtain. You know what I'm saying? In terms of goals, material things, careers, like whatever it is. I've always known what I wanted, generally speaking. And it seems like earlier on in this year, I just needed to make a couple changes that would help me continue on that path. But that was not the case. You know what I'm saying? I feel like because of what I had to work my way around earlier this year, I have kind of been like wiped clean of any and all previous desires that I've had in my life. And I think one thing that I want to note is that I'm not saying I've always known what I wanted. Like, I have all this super great, perfect knowledge about myself and understanding. No, I think I've talked about it a lot, but my physical presence in the church as a young person really impacted my ability to sense and detect what God wanted for my life in a positive way as I got older. So it wasn't hard for me to know what may or may not be good for me, or what I may or may not enjoy. Um, as it relates to that, and also grew up in a house with a very clear definition of right and wrong, so that also made it a little bit easier. But I just wanted to put that as a note, because it's not like me, definitely not. Like, all of the areas, parents, family, friends, God, church, some mentors helped cultivate that in me. But I don't want that right now, or I don't have that anymore. Like, what I wanted to do, what I set out to do, what I was hoping to accomplish, I did. And even though I didn't finish my career like I thought I would, volleyball wise, like as a national champion, I was still satisfied with the way that my career ended, and more so with the reason that the Lord told me, because I asked him why we didn't win the national championship. I was like, homie, I know what I said, or what you said, and what I saw. What? And I was satisfied with that answer because I believed him. I'm getting sidetracked. But so seeing life as a learned skill recently has been like seeing a blank canvas. It's like renewing of the mind. It's almost like my brain flipped and we're starting over. Like, nothing is the same. I don't want, I don't have any inkling to turn around and go back or reference what I've done or who I've been, um, to try to understand or forge a way forward to where I'm going. And I think that could have been by design, because of what I went through to try to get me to this place where the Lord could renew my mind and our relationship for whatever He's going to bring me into next. And so, what I really think um, is what might spearhead the discovery of my new desires that will manifest into the things that I begin doing whenever I start doing them, because I don't know when that is this revelation that honestly kind of pricked my mind a couple years ago, because my mom said something about, she was telling me she had just gotten off the phone with my grandmother. And my grandma said something like, well, we'll see what the Lord's going to do. And so this is my mom retelling me this conversation as a story. And my mom said, she was like, God doesn't do anything. Like, He doesn't do anything. Everything that God is going to do for us has already been done. And she said that. And I was like, I, well, that appears to be correct. I can't wrap my head around it, but I fought really hard to just like accept it, because I knew it was true and I didn't know why. And I also remember at that time there was a lot of talk about the Trinity, just in like the churches that I was seeing online and all that stuff. And I remember there was this one sermon that Mike Todd did that broke down the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit in each of their roles in developing the earth, and yada 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 yada, and why their names are specific, and who we should be calling out to, all these different things. I thought he did a phenomenal job. It was obviously nothing but Spirit given revelation, and he did a really good job demonstrating it also so that it would be comprehensible. However, that just kind of like, scratched my brain in a way that made it stay there. And then my mom said something the other day randomly. She was talking to somebody else, or somebody else was talking to her about Isaiah 55, 8 and 9, which is my thoughts are not your thoughts and my ways are not your ways. And she said something about it, and it, poked at that little scab in my brain. And then I thought about Moses and Exodus 3. Let me get it right. In Exodus 3, verses 11 through 14, where God is recruiting Moses to go rescue the people from Egypt. And Moses is like, I can't do that. And God is finally convincing him at this point in the text. And he's like, all right, fine. But when I go, they're going to ask me who sent me. And what am I supposed to say about who sent me? And God says, tell them that I am who I am. And the way that my brain literally imploded, my mom described it perfectly. Like when she got that revelation, I don't know if it was tied to the Exodus 3:11 thing, but it really was for me. She was like, it scarred my brain. That is exactly what she said when we were on the phone today. And I'm like, that is exactly the right verbiage. It scarred my brain because I was like, wait a minute. God said, my thoughts are not your thoughts and my ways are not your ways, because God doesn't think. The ability to think, reason, rationalize, and process is dependent on the existence of time. And God is omniscient. He's omnipresent. He's the creator of time. Earth is his footstool. So he doesn't do time. He created that construct that we have to abide by. He doesn't think. And when I tell you that I said to the Lord, when some stuff started happening late last year with my finances that trended into the top of this year, I was like, I could not get a word out of him about this. It felt like I couldn't get anything. I don't really think I have either. I still haven't, which is cool. Like, I'm cool with it. But I was not at that point, right? And I was like, if you don't give me something, like, it's not like, if you don't give me exactly what I was like, I just need something, okay, to help me contextualize, understand, whatever. This is going to cause a rift in our relationship because it seems like you're playing me. Like, I said exactly that. And I don't know if when I said what I said, I'm not saying that I'm right and that every word I say has to come to whatever in my relationship. But I have talked about before in my relationship with God that sometimes God will use what I say to show me that he's using me, because for whatever reason I'm still not aware of, my voice is like a really big, I'm not aware of entirely. I'm not saying that I don't understand on like a physical, maybe surface level. I'm just saying at its deepest part, I'm not entirely sure. But he uses my mouth sometimes. And when I said that, I got scared because I was like, wait, did I just like disparage the Lord? And then I was like, no, girl, first of all, hello, he's God. And then second of all, I was like, why is this bothering me? Because I really felt like there was some truth to it in my spirit. Anyways, so when I said that, I thought about it in one way, but it came to in a different way, because as long as I can remember, I thought about what I was doing, how I was doing it, you know, for God during my time in college, doing my best to live my life for him, letting his light shine through me, doing my best to do what he says is right, even if I don't like it, repeatedly in situations that are against me for no apparent reason, right? I'm doing all that and I'm thinking God is thinking X, Y, Z. No, he's not. Homie doesn't do that. Do you understand the implication of what I'm saying to you right now? He doesn't think. His thoughts are not our thoughts, and his ways are not our ways, because we think. He does not. He knows. We don't know what's going to happen in the next 5 minutes. We have to watch it unfold. He knows. He knows. He knows. He doesn't think. His only form of existence is knowing, being. And then when he felt like it, creating. He is. There is no, I think, let me consider, the Lord is going to decide. Ain't no, no, no. N-O to K-N-O-W. Just know. He just knows. And when I tell you my brain is scarred, it is so scarred. Okay, so let's read this Exodus 3:11, whatever. Where is it? We're in the NKJV, okay, the New King James Version. But Moses said to God, who am I that I should go to Pharaoh and that I should bring the children of Israel out of Egypt? And he said, I will certainly be with you, and this shall be a sign to you that I have sent you. When you have brought the people out of Egypt, you shall serve God on this mountain. Then Moses said to God, indeed, when I come to the children of Israel and say to them, the God of your fathers has sent me to you, and they say to me, what is his name? What shall I say to them? And God said to Moses, I am who I am. And he said, thus you shall say to the children of Israel, I am has sent me to you. Maybe this is things I used to think, because I used to think God thought. Like, what do you mean? What do you mean? How does God know what I'm going to need, when I'm going to need it, after certain situations have passed in my life, if he is living on the same timeline as me? He can't. That's like when we are kids, and at some point we go from being a kid who believes that their parent is perfect, flawless, never makes a mistake, and does not exist in the same reality that we exist, where we feel insecurities, where we get overwhelmed by emotions, where we don't know how to make decisions. When you realize that your parents are not God, basically, that they are not perfect, all knowing, and can do everything that it looked like they were doing with perfect knowledge before, for the rest of your life, you're like, hello? Hello. And I think it's so interesting how that's such a universal experience, because I'm like, LOL, it's almost like God did that on purpose. So we would go looking for him and stop looking for it in the people that, we should be able to trust the most in this world. That's not related. It's really not related, because I don't. My point is, when you realize that they're the same as you, not all knowing, not able to orchestrate things consistently in a way that they would like, they are subject to the things that everybody else is subject to, and cannot perform consistently from a place of complete obsolete control, and they never have. You're like, whoa. But then realizing, for me, I guess, that it's so easy to put that onto God, because we want to relate to him. We want to have relationship with him, and it's easy to bring him down to what you can reference, but he he's not one of us. Though he is a high priest that we can touch, he is indeed higher, which is why his ways are not our ways and his thoughts are not our thoughts, because he doesn't think, bro. He doesn't think. I I think that the rift that I was talking about earlier started at a different time in my life, probably like 2021, right before I decided that I was going to transfer out. Most likely, the season hadn't started yet, but I was like, I'm probably gonna go at the end of this season, regardless. Right? I started to notice a shift about my understanding of God and our relationship, and I thought it was because I did something wrong, but I knew that it was because God wanted to show me something else. Did I know what that is at that time? Absolutely not. Do I know what it is now? Still absolutely not. Do I think that this might be the start of the revelation, and the reason that there was a rift is because God wanted me to free him entirely from the confines of my mind? 100%. Like 100%. And I think part of what I'm really starting to accept and love and embrace about seeing life as a learned skill is that there is a consistent evolution of the way that you think, resolve, consult, and address yourself, those that you love, and those that you must interact with in your life, as well as those, or in my case, the one that you depend on, being God. And the fact that there is a constant evolution of that means that there can never be a sense of certainty on the way that it is presenting itself in that season. It's like when you say the only thing constant is change. But I am slowly coming to really, really settle on the fact that I will forever and always have to change and evolve in a way that makes me different from the way that I was before, but that doesn't change me. And if I change, it was because I was supposed to. And if I say this in a way that's less me centered, I would say, help me, Lord, so it makes sense. Clarity in your life, just like waking up and going to bed at the same time every day, is a choice. We will not always know what's next, what God has for us, how he wants us to do it, but we will know that God is there. So choosing to be clear about the ultimate truth, which is that God is all knowing and he is constantly with you and you can never be separated from his love, is clarity. That is a choice that we can make to rely on those truths all the time. It's not being able to see, understand, and comprehend the ins and outs of your comprehensive current situation. And that I'm saying that encompassing all the parts of your life. But if we're looking at life as a whole, and I have always looked at my life as this at the bottom is my desire to serve and fear the Lord above all else. Everything else I'm building on top of that. So everything that I'm doing, as it says in the Bible, is unto the Lord, right? So whatever is built on top of that, I used to think was clarity, was the vision, because I have been able to see so many of the things that were going to be built on top of that before they were. And so I think I started to rely on that a little bit, which is human. But I'm realizing that clarity is always having this, regardless of whether this goes up and keeps going up and up and up and up, or whether it comes down and we start over again. And I think that I would rather and this is just me right now, I would rather build little by little by little and keep getting wiped clean again, like the Lord was doing in my life this whole time, until I realized that the only thing that remains is the only thing that is required for me to continue to develop in this life. So I I don't know what the frick just happened. I don't. It's a lot of things. I don't know if it's a thing I used to think or if it's seeing life as a learned skill. I don't know what the frick I'm going to call this episode. Okay? I don't. I just know that my brain is permanently scarred. The scar is like this big and it's a leopard shape, or it's the shape of like a cheetah print because I decide what it looks like in my head. And I'm very grateful about it. Now, do I think that I know what I'm going to do with my life now? No, absolutely not. I don't. And like I said, this is a very new experience for me. Like, I go through times and phases where I'm like, I could do this, I could do this, I could do this, I could do this. But like I said, I can't really cling to any of that because I just don't want to do it. And I don't know why. And it's fine. It's fine. Um, but whatever this ends up being titled, oi, um, I hope it was revelatory for you, meaningful for you, whatever God intended it to be for you, because frickin' chicken, dude, like, hello? Hello. I've never felt more conscious in my life. I have never felt more alive. I've never felt more well prepared and balanced to understand things because I'm like, God doesn't think. What an effing relief. Thinking is so fickle. Oh my gosh. Thinking it can result in things being great. Oh, but it's the worst. It's the worst. Because just thank God. Thank God that you don't think. Oh wow. Oh wow. Oh wow. Oh wow. Wow, 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 wow. All right. That's it. I don't have anything else. I can't think. All right, that's it. I love you. Bye. See you next week.